Welcome to the Gym Secrets Podcast with myself, Cale Owen, Mike Ferreira, and Ed Turney. This podcast has one simple goal: make gym owners wildly successful. We have each owned or currently own profitable gyms. And over the past 5 years, we have helped over 5,000 gyms become massively profitable through the secrets we will share on this podcast. And if you listen in closely, we guarantee that you will be able to build a wildly profitable gym. Enjoy. And as always, if you find value in this, do us a massive favor and just share this with other gym owners that you know. Welcome back to the Gym Secrets Podcast. My name is Cale and I'm here with Ed Turney, Mike Ferreira, and we are in the house today. We are talking about partnerships and how to have hard conversations to exit those partnerships, because most of the time partnerships inside of the gym make zero sense. Not just the gym, but business in particular. So let's kind of hit some basics around partnerships. Most people get into partnerships because they believe that if two people go into it, no matter if they have the same skill set or not, that they will both do 100% effort and they will both be able to double the business faster. Or if I have 3 people, or if I need money, like all this stuff, and they'll give up equity and they'll have partners. And then what they come to realize is that, cool, I just partnered with someone who has the same skill set. They're no different than me. I'm doing 90% of the work and I'm bringing in most of the money. The other person is slacking. Resentment builds and you realize, why did I even do this with this person? It also means that you're splitting all the money. So if you want to take home $100,000 a year, cool. That means you have to bring home and profit $200,000 a year in your business just to back into that. So it's just not worth it. That's at a 50-50 split. And you have to make twice as much money. You both have to be working, and it makes zero sense to be in a partnership when you both have the same skill set. And I'll say this about money. If you're trying to get money and you need an investor, get it as an investment, as a loan, pay it back. Do not give up equity. Don't do that. So if you need money, that's fine. Go out and get money. You shouldn't need to if you use our system and launch your gym, but if you need to, use it. Don't give up equity. Treat it as a loan, pay it back. But let's talk about hard conversations. So Ed, I'll let you start off with yours and then I'll finish with mine. Let's talk about like different scenarios, because Mike, you're just going to to be a bystander.
Yeah, I'm here for the stories, because I personally never had a partner, but it's crazy how many gym owners have them, and I'm not sure if it's just more of like, it's a fear thing of like, I'm not sure if I can do it on my own, so I'm going to go find someone to just go through hell or succeed with me as long as I have someone next to me. I think it's got to be a little bit of where it comes from, right? Because logically, a lot of times this just doesn't make sense. But yeah, no, super curious to like hear these stories a little bit from you guys.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but Mike basically just was like, hey guys, I'm way wiser than you. I'm way smarter than you. I wasn't going to say I'm like, I'm just better than you. So like, cool. I can't wait to listen to these horror stories that you guys had to go through because you're dumber than me, which we were at the time. So
yeah. How many ways have you guys just screwed up? How many ways have you guys just screwed up in your...
Well, I'll tell the most embarrassing version. So like, I was so smart that I didn't start with partners. I did really, really well because I was by myself. And then I got a partner for another location afterwards. Talk about just like ridiculously stupid, right? So I think the fear thing in the beginning, and then for me it was ego later on. So like I had this ego about like, I want 20 locations and what are this, right? And like, it just didn't make sense at the time. Like I didn't have the skills to scale or anything. Like I literally took myself out of the thing that was making all the money, put myself in the new thing that had the least amount of upside possible, just for the story, just for I want to win and be the guy and be the hero. Like it was all ego based. To show you how dumb I was in terms of understanding partnerships and equity and everything else, I bought into a gym that was failing. Bought in my money from hard-earned years to a failing gym. And the percentage that I bought in was 5%. That's how dumb I was.
Wait. So effectively, you siphon the money from the winning gym over into this failing gym to only take out 5% of zero.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant, right? So
how'd it work out?
Great. Made millions. No, we made nothing. It was closed a few months later. And like, I look back and I'm like, man, I was so dumb. But like, we meet gym owners every day that are in similar situations. And I'm just like, I don't think anybody was as bad as I was. Like a 5% equity. And I think I put 30 or 40 grand into it to be an owner. Like I dug them out of debt, right, to help. And then just to be the guy, to be the managing partner with 5%. And I literally never sat down and did the math of like, okay, if we're killing it, what am I actually making on this? Like, I never actually did it because the ego and the excitement and the like, let's just do it and let's just go, 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 go. I was just young and dumb. Needless to say, the gym that was making tons of money dipped dramatically. This one was a waste of time. We ended up just walking away and closing the thing. I went back to the thing that was making money, and then that's when we actually scaled to the 1.2 million in that final year. So like attention and focus, obviously a big lesson I learned too, but ego is what drove me to do more than one location.
How did you get out? What were the conversations like?
Luckily for me, it was actually a pretty good friend. We're actually still really good friends. And like, he was also like not full equity, but it was like a other silent partners. Like I found out the whole thing later. It was just like, no one owned anything. It just wasn't worth it. Didn't make any sense on paper. Would have had to do like 200 grand a month to make it even like remotely like worth it. So it was pretty easy. It was like, hey, this ride's over. We're all going to exit and close it up. So we just closed up shop. That's all. That was the end of that. That wasn't too tough of a conversation for me.
That's good. Mine was tougher. So I've had 2 experiences with partners. My first gym that I was in, I was a partner in that one. Main guy that had most of the ownership was the investor, wasn't in the day-to-day. Terrible scenario, by the way. And the other guy that had the more ownership than I did was the one that wanted to start the gym originally. So we've got the investor who needs to get paid back. And they did a lot of the planning before I ever stepped in. So I became kind of last thing after I got done with baseball. So I came in, wanted to be a part of it, wanted to coach, wanted to do all this stuff, and made all of the mistakes that a broke, terrible gym owner does in the beginning. Didn't focus on sales, didn't focus on marketing, didn't focus on any of that stuff, focused on our product and our classes and thought that if we build it, they will come. Didn't make a ton of money in there. Anyways, struggling there. For some reason, these 2 guys here where I'm at now in Northeast Florida, they were friends, and my wife had been the very first coach for one of them in another gym that he owned. And phenomenal human being to this day, like just the type of person that everyone wants to be friends with and hang out with, because he just is genuinely a really nice guy. He's hilarious, life of the party, just an awesome human being, has an incredible family, all this stuff. Anyways, they come to me, him and the other guy come to me, and they're like, we want to start another location, like 20 minutes north of the current location. And it's closer to the other partner, right? So he wouldn't be in it. He would be investment, and the other guy would be sweat equity and owner of the place. And then they wanted to bring me in essentially as a coach. And I was like, well, I have ownership here. I'm not going to come up there to be a coach. Like, I'm not going to do that. So anyways, back and forth for almost a year. Finally, I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm taking majority ownership. I'll put up the money. I'm taking majority ownership. I'm taking 60% or more, and I'm going to do that. So we did that and started out okay. One of the partners, the other one that was just investment only, exceptional partner, like hands off, guidance, all this stuff. Didn't really bring anything to the table from a growth standpoint. Right. So like, but I understand that from that piece, but there's also going into it, he was well known in that community to a certain extent in that area. And I was hoping that we would be able to get more. I'm new to the area. Like I'm coming back from, I hadn't been there in years since college, like 3 years, right? I don't know anybody. And when I was in college, I was 20 minutes south. So like, I don't really know anybody. So hoping for a little bit of help there. But either way, regardless of that, exceptional human being, great partner, awesome. Also mentor, just a great mentor. The other partner who owned his gym down south, it started off okay. And then things started taking a weird turn. We started getting people, and the way that we onboarded people, we would do personal training first for like 10 to 20 sessions, and then they would join sessions. Well, he would come up and he would take a couple people and say 1 or 2 people. And then when they would move into the basic classes, they would go down to his gym and join his gym. And I'm like, I'm so confused. You're getting paid on the personal training, and that either I sold or you sold, doesn't matter. You're getting paid on the personal training. And then instead of building this facility, which you are an owner of, and they live up here, they're now going down to your facility.
Right. Cannibalizing.
And you're taking all of the money. Yeah. So I'm just like, what is going on? So we had a conversation about that. And I was like, okay, not gonna do that. But then noticed that he got really busy and he had some small health things that came up over the course of roughly, it was like 2 years that we did this. So we started in 2015 and he left it was about 2.5 years. And we met with him 3 or 4 different times. And by say we, myself and the other partner, and laid out exactly what we were expecting, laid out and reviewed exactly what wasn't happening because he was sweat equity and wasn't actually showing up. He got paid for every class he coached. He got paid for every personal training session he did. He got paid for every sale he did. He got reimbursed for all of those things. And yet there was he didn't hold up his end of the bargain. And he would say that as well, right? He knows it. And there were things going on in his life that I think kept him from doing that. But at the end of the day, we have a business to run, right? And so we need to grow this business. Well, I'm going to fast forward to 2017 when I signed up with Gym Launch, and I'm like, the last ditch effort. We got 8 weeks. I'm shutting the doors. Like, this is not going to happen. We're not going to keep doing this.
Yep.
Losing tons of money, hand over fist, all this stuff. Well, we start Gym Launch. We sign up 75 people. We make like $38,000 in like 10 days. He has access to the business bank account. I get a text message. We had met with him 3 months before, by the way, and outlined what we need from him with repercussions of like, we will then change this and you will be removed from ownership if these don't change. Nothing happened. He sends me a text message. He's like, I think I'm ready to call it quits on this one and just focus on my gym. And I'm like, okay, waiting for the pen to drop, right? Just be like, all right, here's the bomb. I'm going to throw this in there, the little grenade. And he's like, I'll send over some numbers of what I think the valuation of like payment would be. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. So he has access to it. We just dropped $38,000 in like out of nowhere, right? And it's like, okay, what's happening? And I'm expecting this. And then he comes back and he has this valuation of like $10,000. And I'm like, bro, we were making $3,000 a month before that ever happened. There's no guarantee any of these people will convert. Like, we're worth nothing, like nothing. If I paid you a dime, it would be too much. And I told him that. I was like, dude, $10,000. I'm not paying you $10,000. This isn't worth, like, your ownership at the time, I think was 20%. Right? So what you're saying, right, at that point is that we're worth $50,000. We're not worth $50,000. Not even close to it. We're worth nothing. So in fact, we should pay someone to take over. That's how much like little we're worth. And we go back and forth. And then finally, my other partner and I, we decided, I just went to him and I went to him and I was like, I'm not paying him anything. He's like, we shouldn't. He's like, we shouldn't do it. And I was like, I'm willing to give him this, like $1,000 as like, hey, here you go. Like, this is it. We're not worth anything, but I'm going to give you $1,000 as is. But we had a backup plan. We were ready to dissolve the LLC. If he said no, we would dissolve the LLC, stop it. We had another LLC ready to go, and we would transfer everything over to the LLC, including bank accounts, everything. So we were ready to do that. And I needed him to sign the documents, and then I needed him to sign the forms to be off the bank account. So push comes to shove. We go back and forth for probably like 6 weeks trying to get a meeting set up. Finally get a meeting set up. It's at a local coffee shop. And I still remember sitting down in that coffee shop to have this conversation with someone who is a friend to this day and was a friend back then, knowing that this friendship would be put on ice or ended through this conversation. I sit down in this coffee shop, local coffee shop. I sit down, I'm shaking. Like I'm so nervous. This is the hardest conversation I've ever had to have in a business side, right? And so I'm sitting here and I have to tell the person that's a friend of mine across the board, I'm like, hey, so we've came to a decision. $10,000 is never going to happen. We're not worth it. You have two options. You can say no to the money I'm about to hand you, and that's fine. I'm just letting you know you'll get zero. And we're going to dissolve the LLC. I just laid it out for him. I was fully transparent. I was like, we will do this. We're willing to do this because you're not worth it. And I had to tell him that. And I was like, but because of our friendship, here's $1,000. Because you've been paid on everything else. You've been paid on your personal training. You've been paid on all the classes. You've been paid on all this stuff. And like, we've had multiple conversations about this. Here's your $1,000. And the look in his eyes hurt the most because it's like, it's hard, right? Like it just was like, man, you feel like you're stabbing a friend, like you're just hurting them. But in that moment, it was a very calculated business decision. And I told him that. And I was like, I understand that this is going to be hard for us for probably a long time. I want you to know that I value you as a friend and that I value you as a human being, but as a partner, this is not working. And we're done. And so I was like, if you walk out of that door without taking this and signing this, I just want you to know we're going to dissolve it. You'll have nothing. Or you can take the $1,000 because right now, as of today, this is what you're worth to the business. Mm-hmm. And so he just took the check, signed the thing. He took the check, kind of sat back in his chair, took the check, signed the documents, and then walked out. And I didn't talk to him for probably a year and a half. So Got to play golf like about 6 months ago. So we've rekindled it. I'm like, good dude. Awesome. He's doing something different. He sold his gym a while back, but yeah, that was very difficult.
You ever revisit that story with him, or is it just kind of like something you guys don't talk about?
No, I'm not going to reopen that.
Yeah.
Hey, you showed up though with the truth and just being super honest about it. So like, these are the facts. I'm stating things that are true. I'm stating how I feel about you. And like, even though that was super hard, but like, you didn't show up with some like underhanded way, you know, like it was nothing nefarious. It was just like straightforward, no sugarcoating. This is what it is. And like, that's what it takes to be a good leader in general, whether it's business or whatever. Like, you have to just state the facts and be honest and be straightforward. And like, as hard as it was, I mean, you look back, you're like, thank God we did that for you and for him. And you're like,
oh yeah. And it's true. I mean, you have to lead with logic in those, and you can't let emotions ride, because especially when you're close to someone, it's very easy to get emotional. It's very easy for someone. And kudos to him. He did not attack. He did not get emotional. I could tell he was super sad, but kudos to him. Like, he showed up at that time and he didn't get emotional. Now he got upset, but not to the point where he wasn't attacking, wasn't doing anything. He just took it and was like, okay. But that's also because we'd had like 3 or 4 conversations over the past year, very direct conversations around, these are the expectations. They're not being met. We need to see a difference here. And because we were so close to him and he's our owner, we gave him more leniency than we would an employee. And then it came to a head. So I think we just had an IC Live, which for those listening, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a one day that we do with our clients. They come in, we take 5 gym owners and we just do a deep dive into their business, spend time with them. And we had a gym owner come in, and this happens all the time, to be real, where we had one that is having a partner that's not pulling their weight. And thankfully, this one gym owner that was in the room had 51% ownership, and they have an operating agreement and all this stuff set. So he has control of the business, but he has to have a hard conversation with someone that he sees as a friend. And he has to be able to sit down and unemotionally have a conversation about pushing this guy out and ending that relationship. It's not easy, but it's got to happen.
Something I wrote down when you were telling the story is that a good mentor doesn't necessarily mean a good business partner. I feel that happens a lot in the gym space. Like, someone you might have trained with, you looked up to, they're a little bit older. You're like, you know, he knows something about training or has a following, whatever it is. Like, they might be a good mentor in like that field or that whatever, but doesn't mean they're a good business partner. I think it's an accurate statement.
Yeah, 100%. And think about it this way. Why give up equity or partnership and control of a business that is so small and doesn't need it, when you could just pay the person for mentorship if you really needed to?
Right.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
To go deeper on that. Yeah. To go deeper on that, Ed, like, do you guys think it does make sense ever on a single location gym model to have a partner? And if so, like, what would you say does?
Never.
Yeah.
No.
Never.
The only partner you should have is your spouse.
Yeah. Those work incredibly well. Some of our best clients are husband-wife teams that just like, they're both all in on that, and their owner operators. They're there and they're building a future for their family because they have an aligned mission, a truly aligned mission. And it's hard to have a aligned mission with partners. You know what I mean? And the sweat equity thing, I don't know, you guys feel like, I just don't ever see that. I just doesn't make any sense. Like, it sounds good. It's like you hear it on Shark Tank and you're like, that's cool. And like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, just like, you don't need that, because you can hire employees that you can hire and fire to do all of the roles that your sweat equity partner is going to do, and not give up a percentage of the actual business. And you wouldn't have to have a hard conversation like Cale did.
Yeah.
And remember, sweat equity
in the model. Go ahead, Cale.
No, you're right. 100%. There's not enough profit at all. Like the average gym. So we talk about the 30, 40, 30 rule, right? So 30% of your revenue should go towards payroll. That includes the owner. You should take a salary. 40% is expenses, and then 30% net profit. So if each of you wants to pull out $100,000, let's say you have 3 partners or you have 2 partners, it's a 50-50 split or 51-49, whatever. So 50-50 split. You each want to make 100. That means you got to pull in profit wise plus salary combined. You got to be in the $200,000 range.
Yep.
And then taxes. So you got to really be in the 250, right? 250 to 275 range. That means you're running $1 million gym, roughly. But you're close to $1 million gym. So how many $1 million gyms are out there? Not a lot.
No.
At all.
No.
So most gyms, on average, the average gym makes $326,000 a year in top line revenue. The average gym profits $36,000 a year. So do the math. Like there's not enough money. So it's not feasible at all.
Cool. Rule is no partners unless you're married to them.
Done.
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. As always, if you found value in this, do us a favor, drop a review. We'd love that. And then share it with a gym owner that needs to hear this. And maybe you need to have an uncomfortable listening time with a partner that needs to leave. And maybe you should just listen to this together or send this to them. Just kidding. Don't make it awkward. Yeah, just send it to them. Be like, you're the sweat equity person.
Yep.
JK. Yep. Appreciate all of y'all. As always, go out, crush it, change the world. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Later.